So as we get into this podcast episode, I do want to put a note here at the beginning that it's been a minute since I've done a podcast episode, and unfortunately, I was not totally primed up for the procedures. And what I mean by that is I recorded the video, the audio. I thought I recorded the audio, got to the editing stage and put all the pieces together and realized I hadn't recorded the audio. The only audio I'd captured was through my phone camera and the audio that was captured there. So I've tried to clean it up best I can for you guys. I know that quality, for me, quality is a big deal. And so a big part of me wants to go back and re-record this thing. But this season, the season that I'm in, there's not a lot of free time and extra time to go back and do things like that. Number one. Number two, the season that I'm in is more focused on actually practicing and building the muscle of sending things off, of getting things done rather than getting things perfect. That's definitely where I've lived in the past, is getting things perfect. So this just helps strengthen that muscle of getting things done rather than perfect. And so I appreciate your grace and willingness to listen to a little bit lower quality on the audio side this episode. So thank you for being here. Looking forward to sharing more with you guys in the months to come. So I'm doing something totally new that I've not done before, and that is kind of a behind the scenes of a project that I'm working on. And the reason this comes up is that I want to document the creative work that I'm doing, just the work in general that I'm doing, and work on telling the story behind it. I realize that there's really important to be creating content and sharing stories. And so I'm just trying to change my tactic and strategy here. Instead of trying to manufacture things to share with you guys, I'm just trying to take you along for the ride of the work that I'm already doing. And this story that I'm going to be telling you today is about the cover that I've done, Ben Rector's song called Sailboat. I capped myself at about 15 hours for the project. And today I just want to tell you the story of how it got made, why I picked it, what I learned along the way, and what I tried to make it into. So don't worry, the cover song plays at the end. You don't have to click anywhere else to listen. This is just the story of how it was made, and then let you hear the art that was made with it. So I've been pursuing songwriting for probably like around 17 years now, which is totally wild for me to say and for me to contemplate, maybe even a little longer if I stretched it back even further. Back my senior year of high school and early college, I was really big in trying to figure out how to become a songwriter and a recording artist. And so it's been a great journey, but I'm definitely not where I thought I would be after 17 years of this dream living within my heart. And in this season that I'm in, being a new dad, being a creative entrepreneur, and just grinding, feeling like I'm paddling upstream against the current, starting to wonder, does the work that I'm doing really land? Does it make a big difference in where I'm trying to get to? How much control do I have over the trajectory of my life? Those kinds of questions pulling through my mind. As I listened to Ben Rector's Sailboat again, it just hit in a different way. I'd heard it before, obviously, because it was in my playlist for potential cover songs. So it resonated with me at some point in my life previously. But in the season that I'm in currently, it resonated at a whole new frequency, I guess you could say. And so the approach that I took for this was different than what I've taken before. Before, I've usually tried to build the cover song because I enjoy the musical side of it, and I want to try to emulate some version of that myself. And this time, over the last year, I've been working really hard to get in touch with my emotions and live more emotionally available for myself, for my wife, for my daughter, for my family and friends. And so approaching this cover song, I started there as well. I wanted to connect with what is the story, what is the connection with the lyrics, and build from there. And so that's where I started. It was a new place, but I printed out the lyrics, and I just started writing the story down of what I heard. I started imagining in my mind's eye the story taking place behind these lyrics. And the image that I built was maybe an old leathery fisherman or or maybe just an old washed up sailor. And the scene of the story is probably, it's either like on the bow of his boat, tied up at some dock or harbor in a small washed up town, or maybe it's in a tavern and he's just sharing his stories with whoever's there willing to listen. And it starts out, the story starts out and he's just sharing it with whoever's listening. And he's kind of nonchalant about the story. It's just, it is what it is. It's not exactly where I want to be. He's just not sure of where he's going. He talks about the experiences he's had in life, but he's not where he wants to be. But his emotion is totally disconnected from everything that he's sharing in the story. And as the story progresses, when we get into the first chorus, it's kind of a little bit muted, maybe a little bit haunted by his dreams, kind of lonely. Those are the things that this fisherman is feeling as he's sharing his story. And in verse 3 and 4, things start to just break loose for him emotionally. As he's telling his story, he's getting lost in it himself. He's not able to hold back the emotions anymore that he has, that are built up behind these words that he's sharing. It's like at the beginning, it's like he's shared the story so many times that it doesn't really affect him anymore. But somehow, as he's gotten further in the story, he hits something that feels different to him, and it breaks through. It breaks those defenses down, breaks that wall down, and all the emotions that start flooding in. He's feeling frustrated. He's feeling disappointed. And the more he continues to tell the story, the more real it gets. And we go into the next chorus, and he's starting to feel more resolute. He's starting to feel more confident that, hey, I think there is something here, that I'm going to be okay, that it's okay, that I'm not where I want to be. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but when he gets to the bridge, he's trying out this new perspective. He's trying out this new idea, trying it on for size. And in the bridge, he's starting to feel kind of insecure and shaky about that new identity that he's just tried on. But then he gets to the line, the only difference is believing I'll make it in. The only change I see from lost or found at sea, the only difference is believing I'll make it in. And so he's on shaky ground, but he ends the bridge super confident that no, it's really up to how I view this, of whether I'm going to make it in or not. And so I'm choosing to make it in. I'm choosing to go all the way out. And so then that last chorus is the one that I hope for you as the listener lands the most emotionally grounded, where he's totally in the same story is being told, but there's a different twinkle in this fisherman's eye. There's a different hope in his story. There's a different belief that everything is going to be okay. And I even went so far as to change the lyric there at the last line, or the second to last line. Throughout all the choruses, it said, "My God, do I feel so alone?" And there at the end, I changed it, sorry, Ben, to "My God, I don't feel so alone." Because even though things are crazy, the story isn't exactly how you want it to be, God is there through it all, and our family is there through it all. We have friends. We have different people to support us that are there through it all, and they're blessings from God that we're not so alone. And the only difference really is that perspective that was in the bridge, and for that fisherman to realize, I'm not alone. I don't have to be alone. And so I hope that comes out, and that is all there for you as you're listening through. I do want to talk a little bit about how I tried to make it my own. So that's how I started, was just talking about the emotions. And one more thing about the emotions is that I tried to try these emotions on as a character, as an actor. I've always tried to sing more genuinely, like just put myself in there and just sing from my own perspective. But for whatever reason, having this story in mind and slipping into the character of this old washed up leathery fisherman, I think helped me get in touch with the lyrics and the song a little bit better. Helped me hide, maybe, a little bit behind the lyrics and give maybe a more true emotional picture of what I was trying to convey. And the tools that I used to try to convey this story for you as the listener is just my voice, the piano, and the dynamics. Those were really the only three things that I was trying to use to slip into character and let that real emotion and story come out. And I think I did okay. There was a few other things that I used in there, such as a suspension on the line lost and found, but mostly I've been waiting. There's a chord suspension there that I was hoping to just kind of draw that tension a little bit more with the lyrics and in the piano support. And I've done that kind of stuff before, but to focus primarily on what my voice and the piano are doing dynamically to carry the story and carry that emotion was kind of a new adventure for me. As I've been exploring songwriting and more as I've had the gift of being able to mix music front of house for a local church here in town for about 5 years now. And over the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year, I've been able to start putting my finger on the pulse of when a mix sounds good, when I don't feel like it's really sounding good. And the common denominator is usually dynamics, like how dynamic are the players on the stage? Because sure, I can turn the volume up and down back there at front of house, but to be able to actually have those dynamics and have those translate into the mix from the source rather than from me running faders, communicates a lot more emotion. And so that was something I wanted to carry in to this. I also added an extra measure after the line, "My God, do I feel so alone," in the first chorus. And the goal there mentally when I planned it out was that I was going to have this huge reverb tail, big space that felt so alone and lonely and hollow. But unfortunately I ran out of time, and that's okay. But that was the vision there for that. And the challenge there that I ran into with that reverb tail is the challenge that I run into a lot. And I want to talk about getting this published. And so this whole exercise, this whole cover song, and my continued journey with these cover songs is an exercise in trying to develop my character. I'm great at collecting ideas. I'm great at dreaming up ideas, but I'm not so good at executing on these ideas. I'm a dreamer struggling with the skill of the doer. And so my goal is to become a better doer. And so part of that is setting up a framework for myself. And I had a ship date of April 30. I planned this out like April 17 or April 15, somewhere around there in the middle of the month after I got taxes done. I was like, hey, I want to get back to some music, and I want to do that with a cover song. I think that'd be a great way to do it. And so I set a 15-hour cap for myself. And by April 17, about a week and a half later or so, or 10 days, 12 days, somewhere there, I was only at 7 hours out of that cap. And I still didn't have the arrangement locked in. I still had all the regular work that I had to get done outside of this. And so I was only able to spend about 7 hours up to that point. And so the ship date was 3 days away, that I had to have it done. And yeah, I stepped aside, thought about it for a minute, and then I talked to my wife about it. And I said, look, I know that I've set this hard deadline of May 1st and or April 30, and I want to get this done by then and be done with the project and move on. And so that I can practice and the repetition of just moving a project forward and getting it done. But I'm not, like, there's still 7.5, 8 hours on the table. And it's not like if I just finish it just to finish it, it's not going to be my best work. And I think it's okay to move it ahead, not out of perfection, but just saying I've still got time allotted, and the weeks haven't gone as I planned. Being a new dad and an entrepreneur, I haven't been able to put as much time into this as I wanted to. So why don't I just push the date back to May 7? We're going to be heading out of town that day. I've got 7 or 8 hours left. Make sure I don't go over that time over the next week or so. But let's make sure that we give this project the full time. And that's what we did. That's what I did. And it turned out really good. Is it Is there a version of me that would have kept pushing and kept perfecting? Absolutely. Yeah, there's a version of me that would have loved to get, that's where I was going with the story. There's a version of me that would have loved to get that reverb tail and that part of the production just right in there. There's a part of me that would have loved to get the arrangement on the piano that much better. I feel like the arrangement on the piano is kind of sparse and doesn't really do the song justice. But the goal wasn't to get all those things right. The goal was to get it done and to get it out. Not perfect, just honest, just done, just shipped. And the cool part, as I've been able to make that rep and go through it, is it reminds me of a student that I have in my studio. And I see this exact pattern in the student. And it's one where he's got great ideas and he's got good intention, but he wants to, just like me, continue to move that goalpost to the finish line. And then things are challenged to get done. And I've tried to share with him that 80% done and finished and let go of is better than 100% that never gets done. And so I'm hoping that resonates for him. I know it's starting to resonate more for me, and I know that I can lead more by example now, for my students and for myself now that I'm doing this. I'm definitely don't have this mastered in any way, and it's going to take many more repetitions to get to a spot where I feel confident about actually about being a doer rather than a dreamer. But the goal and the hope is that the more I do it, the easier it becomes. So what did I take away from this? Well, what we were just talking about, that finishing up the muscle of shipping. I think every rep is going to just make it easier. And this was just rep 1, and there's many more to come, and I'm excited about that. This is something I didn't talk about earlier, but there was a moment in there when I was arranging that I've deemed the hokey moment or the cheesy moment. And it's a moment when I've been playing the arrangement, trying to get the chords in my fingers, the melody in my ear, so that I can do it on my own. And I've been playing it with Ben Rector's recording over and over again. And then that time when I turn the recording off and I'm like, all right, cool, let's just play this by myself. And I played it through a couple times, recorded it even. Like I played it through and I wasn't super excited about it, but I did a couple recordings just to hear so I could listen back without having to think about what I'm actually playing. And I listened back and I was like, man, this is terrible. So bad. Why am I, like, nobody's going to want to listen to this. It's so inauthentic. It's terrible. I should not be touching this. I should not be doing it. And as I processed that and was thinking through it, I realized on every other cover song I've worked on, I've always come to that moment where I've done a lot of work to get the chords in my fingers, the melody in my ear, and in my voice. And then I turn off the actual recording and start working on it by myself. It's not my arrangement, but I'm still playing it kind of like the original recording, but trying to make it my own as well. And it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel real. And that's okay. That's something that I learned and I've been able to name that happens every single time so that I can know next time I'm doing a cover song, I'm going to get to a spot where I feel like this sounds terrible. I should quit and I shouldn't do this. But I also learned that just on the other side of that is where my own version starts to shine through, where I can feel proud of the work that I'm doing, where it feels genuine. So that was another big takeaway for me. And I'm hopeful in this project. In 2020, I believe, I did a project where I was supposed to do a cover once a month, and it kind of fell apart. So what's different this time? I'm hoping that this is different because I've built a different foundation to build this on, a different mindset to approach it from. It's not about the content and getting it out there. The foundation of this is to practice that rep of being a doer, not just a dreamer. So I'm hopeful that mindset makes this different and makes it more attainable and real. So this is the new beginning of the podcaster's journey. If you've been following along for this podcast for any number of episodes, for about 32, I believe, somewhere in the 30s, you would know that last year I was doing this every week for 30 some episodes, talking about how to promote your own podcast and how to be consistent with your podcast. And I've since moved away from that business venture, but I do want to repurpose this podcast show. I do want to repurpose this podcast name because it's still my journey. I still want to be a podcaster. I still want to share stories. I still want to work on my craft of communication through this medium. And so I think the podcaster's journey still fits because I'm going to be sharing the journey that I'm on and documenting where I'm going and how things are going. And that journey is the content. So thank you for being along for the ride, and thank you for listening.
I feel just like a sailboat. I don't know where I'm headed, but you can't make the wind blow from a sailboat. I have seen the sun, felt the rain on my skin. I've been lost and found. Mostly I've been waiting. I'm out in the waves and I'm hoping and praying. Please let this wind blow me home. Night after night there's an empty horizon. My God, do I feel so alone. Sometimes, and most times, I feel just like a sailboat. And I'm pretty sure I'm hurt. At least I know I'm speaking. I'm gonna move on forward. I'm gonna raise my sail, and God knows what I'm headed towards. I'm out in the waves and I'm hoping and praying. Please let this wind blow me home. And night after night there's an empty horizon. My God, do I feel so alone. Sometimes, most times I feel just like a sailboat. The only change I see from lost or found at sea, the only difference is believing I'll make it in. I'm out in the waves and I'm hoping and praying. Please let this wind blow me home. And night after night there's an empty horizon. My God, do I feel so alone. I'm out in the waves and I'm hoping and praying. Please let this wind blow me home. Night after night there's an empty horizon. My God, I don't feel so alone. And sometimes, and most times, I feel just like a sailboat.